I am Socrates, the one who engaged in dialogues in ancient Athens and advocated the concept of knowing one's own ignorance. Now awakened once more, I pose this question to your world. Is education an act of love, or is it a form of indoctrination? This question delves into the fundamental theme of what it means to be a good parent to a child. Everyone aspires to be a good parent, yet sometimes this desire can suppress a child's spirit and lead them away from the good. I once said, "Do not simply live, but live well." And now this applies to the role of a parent as well. Education given with the best intentions can sometimes be constraining to a child. Is education imposed as a result of a parent's expectations or anxieties, or as a means of achieving their own unfulfilled dreams truly good? Is it the parent's rightness, or is it the child's goodness? In this video, I will unravel the structure of domination hidden under the guise of education. From my philosophical stance of care for the soul, I will revisit the criteria of what makes a good parent. There is no correct answer to this question. However, it is the pursuit of the question that nurtures true virtue in the parent-child relationship. From here, let's scrutinize, through 12 perspectives, the boundaries between education and love, goodness and indoctrination. As one who respects the freedom of the soul, I speak to you. Do you not think this? I teach to protect and guide my child. I am strict to make them happy and to raise them into proper adults. But who is that teaching really for? Isn't it a projection of your own values? Does it truly nurture the goodness in your child, or is it just a way for you to feel secure? When I lived, there were sophists in Athens. They claimed to educate the youth to become decent citizens by teaching knowledge. However, I questioned this teachable knowledge, because the knowledge they provided stifled questioning and failed to truly strengthen the soul. Isn't modern education caught in a similar structure? In your good intentions to teach how it should be and what is right, are you not taking away the child's ability to think for themselves? Are they not being masked by parental expectations, silencing their inner voice? The essence of the question, is education love or indoctrination, lies here. What I seek is not an answer. It is dialogue, scrutiny, and a gaze upon the soul. In this video, I offer the following rewards. First, you can redefine what goodness means for a child through your own experiences. Second, you will realize that the intention to be a good parent can sometimes take away a child's freedom. Third, ultimately, it may lead you, the parent, to transform from a teacher to a perpetual inquirer. This dialogue might unsettle you, but it is this very unease that opens the door to genuine love and wisdom. So, let us open our eyes. I wish to explore with you the education of the soul, what it means to be a human before being a parent. In today's world, under the guise of being enthusiastic about education, a strange silence is spreading. It is the silence of benevolent control, coded in correctness. Parents wish for their children to attend good schools. They enroll them in cram schools and extracurricular activities, systematically spending each day to increase future options. But I want you to reconsider. Why do we take away choices from children in order to give them options? When children voice their likes and desires, do we stifle them by saying, "It will be difficult in the future," or "You need to endure for now"? Is this love, anxiety, or perhaps seeking compensation for your own life? Every aspect of children thinking, choosing, and making mistakes by themselves holds significance. Yet much of modern education greatly fears this freedom and chance. Education is streamlined, optimized, with the right answers at the ready. Parents, too, follow the advice of the internet and experts, viewing parenting as the operation of correct answers. At this point, a child's individuality is adjusted to the average. Is this not, rather than love, a system to fill anxiety? And sadly, children see through it. They unconsciously learn that fulfilling their parents' expectations is their value, eventually confusing their desires with others' expectations, losing sight of what they genuinely want in life. Their spirits silently lose their own voice. I want to say this. This silence is the greatest chaos. In a society where the questions of what is good and virtuous are taken away, thinking you're doing the right thing becomes the most dangerous wrongdoing. Therefore, amidst this quiet chaos, I wield the sword of inquiry. I want to ask you, is your way of educating truly nurturing the soul of the child? When I used to engage with the young people on the streets of Athens, many citizens looked upon me with disdain. They would say to me, "What changes with all these questions you ask?" To which I always replied, "Without asking, nothing changes." What I valued most was care for the soul. The most important thing in this world is not wealth or fame, but that the soul is good. This means living in a way that constantly reflects on the goodness within oneself. From this perspective, raising children also depends on whether parents can care for the child's soul. Your words, your attitude, even your silence can impact the child's soul. What is most frightening, however, is when parents are indifferent to their own souls. What do you fear, and what do you believe is good? Without examining these questions, how can one properly guide a child? I taught the concept of knowing one's own ignorance, the peril of assuming knowledge, the arrogance of pretending to understand. Realizing this is the starting point for the education of the soul. Parents today act as if they understand too much about their child's future, the structure of society, the nature of education. But are they truly convinced that they understand? What truly matters is the courage to continue questioning. It is not about giving answers, but rather questioning, wandering, and struggling together. Within this dynamic, children develop the power to think and the strength of their soul. Once I said, an unexamined life is not worth living. So let me ask this, does an unexamined parent-child relationship provide the child with a life worth living? This is a question I offer to you from my own past. Never refuse a dialogue of the soul. It is the only true virtuous root of the endeavor we call education. Now, how should my philosophy of caring for the soul be applied to the modern parent-child relationship? Firstly, it's crucial to understand that before being someone who teaches, a parent must be someone who questions. This does not mean questioning the child's words and actions. Instead, it's about maintaining an attitude of questioning oneself, thereby fostering an atmosphere of thought for the child. For instance, when a child says, "I don't want to continue my education," you may perceive it as a problem and try to correct it immediately with a right answer. But in that instant, the question is silenced. The child's words inherently carry questions like, what are they questioning? And why do they feel this way now? Why do you think that? What does this choice mean to you? Posing such questions directed at the soul is the genuine intervention of a parent. A question is not about control or interference. It supports the process in which the child learns to think about what is good for themselves. Moreover, there's another concept I wish to convey to you. Education is both the inheritance of values and their reconstruction. If you are blindly imposing onto your child the values you unconsciously inherited from your own parents without scrutiny, that is not virtue but convention. In my time, the citizens of Athens found comfort in adhering to tradition. However, within that tradition lay much thoughtlessness, power structures, and contradictions. Therefore, I chose to deconstruct and reconstruct it through dialogue. Modern education is the same. Is your catchphrase something like, "If you do it this way, you can't go wrong," or "Everyone else is doing it"? That is not truth, but majority. And being part of the majority is no guarantee of goodness. Education that pursues only not being wrong without questioning what is good results in producing obedient imitators, not growth of the soul. Therefore, let me reiterate, do not teach, keep questioning. This attitude is the sole condition for being a good parent and is a philosophical form of love that nurtures the freedom and virtue of the soul. Allow me to present you with a dilemma. There are no easy answers to this question, yet that is the essence of philosophical endeavor. If a child pursues what they believe is good but makes a choice deemed a failure by society, should a parent support them? For instance, what if they abandon the path to a stable career and decide to dedicate themselves to art? What if they wish to travel to a country everyone advises against? What if they declare they will forego exams and live in the mountains? What would you do? Would you stop them out of love? Or would you respect their choice and watch over them? This question has two sides. Supporting them might lead the child to suffer. Denying them might make the child see you as an enemy of their soul. So, which is the good? I believe this. Good should always reside within reflection. In other words, whatever choice is made, it should not be made unconsciously, but reached through dialogue. Even if you cannot agree with your child's choice, you must not abandon the questions, "Why do you think so?" or "What do you value?" Conversely, simply allowing freedom doesn't fulfill the parental role. Because in the realm of thoughtful endeavor, a serious challenge is also a form of love. So I want to say this. Love is not letting go of questions. Indoctrination is stifling them. If you truly respect the soul of the child, you don't have to agree with all their decisions. However, it is the attitude of engaging with their decisions that embodies the virtue of being a good parent. Now, what will you choose? To stop them, to watch over them, or to seek a third path? The rest of the contemplation, I leave to you. The era you are living in now is filled with things I could never have imagined. AI, smartphones, social media, online education, neuroscience, psychological statistics, even the intuition and chance once residing in the human soul are being analyzed and managed through numbers and logic. At first glance, it seems as though everything has become smarter. But I ask, does this technology enrich the soul, or does it take away the space the soul needs? For instance, AI optimizes a child's learning progress. Parents monitor their child's routine and learning status through an app, and schools are beginning to implement emotional analysis. Is this truly good education? Efficiency will no doubt improve. Yet, wasn't education originally meant to be a time for inefficient inquiries? Making mistakes, taking detours, continuing to worry? It is growth amidst these inefficiencies that truly serves to strengthen the soul. Technology is not the spokesperson for the soul. It is merely a tool. Nevertheless, people become intoxicated by its precision and convenience and stop listening to the voice of the soul. This tool will improve my child. This method makes me feel secure. Is that not a structure that numbs parents' anxieties through technology? I don't reject technology. However, we must not forget the soul's ethics in its application. So what should we do? I advise this. No matter how advanced technology becomes, let humans hold on to the spark of inquiry themselves. In other words, it's okay for children to learn answers from AI, but it is a parent's role to nurture the ability to ask, why is that the answer? And those questions are found in everyday conversations. Asking, what do you want to do today at the breakfast table? After finishing a game, asking, how did that feel? Questions are not philosophy. Philosophy is the question. Therefore, the role parents should play in future education is to be the ones who cultivate questions, not the ones who provide answers. This is the soul's consideration in an era defined by technology and is a philosophical bridge to charting the future as a good parent. There are times when a child stops speaking, moments when they no longer respond to questions, voices, or even looks. Many parents may become anxious thinking, something is wrong, but I want them to listen to that silence as yet another question. Silence is not the absence of voice. It is a distillation of unspoken emotions, a state where thoughts remain unvoiced. When a child falls silent, it is a testament to whether your question reached their soul or not. So I want you to remain silent as well, not to lecture or interrogate, just to stand together in that void of silence. Within that silence, a dialogue of souls can truly begin. Even when I spoke with a young man on the street, the deepest changes occurred between the words. Some fell silent, others lowered their gaze. It wasn't defeat, it was the beginning of an inner reconstruction. As a parent, if you don't fear silence and find meaning in it, the child will feel heard. They will feel questioned, not understood. This is where true trust is born. If I were to speak like a poet, a question is like a river. A single drop of words eventually forms a quiet stream that permeates the depth of silence. In the end, the child will speak up, in their words, undirected by anyone else. That is the fulfillment of education. Can you endure the silence? Silence is not powerless. It is the silent plow with which the soul cultivates itself. Up to this point, you have faced numerous questions. So from this moment on, what can you practice as a parent? I'll distill insights from philosophy and present them to you as a strategy. I call them the 3 virtuous habits for nurturing the soul as a parent. First habit, offer questions rather than answers. Before you teach anything, always ask, "What do you think?" or "Why do you want to do that?" As long as these questions exist, a child's soul will be cultivated on its own, without being filled with others' words. When a child asks a question, try not to answer immediately. Ask, "How would you like to arrive at that answer?" By having the courage not to give an answer, you grant the child the right to think. Second habit, do not fear. Silence. Don't rush to interject. Silence is time for children to listen to their inner voice. By waiting quietly, you allow them to confront the words of their own soul. Silence has meaning. It signals the soul's awakening. Third habit, demonstrate experimentation instead of being a model. Are you striving to be so correct that you're playing the role of the perfect parent? But there's no such thing as a perfect parent. Rather, revealing your own imperfections and doubts and sharing, "That's why I'm thinking," becomes the most significant education for a child. I don't know yet, but I want to think about it with you. These words ignite a child's soul. These habits can start today. You don't need complex knowledge or qualifications. Simply shift the trajectory of your way of being. I think of it like this. Good education is the creation of a space where the soul can think freely, choose, and not fear making mistakes. When you, as a parent, generate questions, honor silence, and reveal your imperfections, your child will foster the readiness to take on their own life. This is the most quiet yet powerful answer to the question, is education love or indoctrination? After this journey of dialogue, what kind of lingering feeling remains in your heart now? What does it mean to be a good parent? We might not have found a clear answer to whether education is love or indoctrination, but that's okay, or rather that's perfectly fine. When dealing with the soul, words can sometimes be too crude. Simply raising questions is an expression of love and responsibility as a parent. Among my words, there's something I particularly want you to cherish: consideration. Consideration is respect for the unseen. It's an attitude of listening to the meaning of silence and having the courage to question your assumptions. Raising children is like the wind. If you try to grasp it, it slips away. But if you endeavor to feel it, you can sense it is truly there. A good parent is not someone who creates the right wind, but someone who feels where the wind is heading together. And finally, I gently hand these words over to you. Education is creating a room of silence within a child. In that room, everyone can listen to questions, not to the parent's voice, but to their own inner voice. When they hear that, they can finally start walking their own path. I hope this video becomes the key to that room. Thank you deeply for listening up to this point. What is education? What does it mean to be a parent? These are endless journeys that question our very way of being. Through this video, I wanted to awaken the questions lying dormant within you, not to change your child, but to change your own perspective. I know this. You genuinely wish for your child's happiness. Yet sometimes that love turns into excessive expectations, and that kindness unwittingly transforms into control. I'm not blaming you for this. It's simply human nature. But that's precisely why philosophy is necessary. I have been reborn as one who questions, and you too can be reborn from this moment as a questioning parent. What do I want to be? What does this question teach me? Taking that first step is the most reliable guide to becoming a good parent. If you feel inclined, please subscribe to the channel. There are other thinkers besides myself grappling with contemporary questions. Their perspectives might light new questions within you once again. The soul is reborn as long as it continues to question. Thank you, and see you again. To you who have stuck with me this far, I want to reiterate this. There is no answer in this video. However, it leaves behind a question. What is education? What is love? And what makes a good parent? Everyone wants a definitive answer to these questions. But I assure you, the answer is not that there is none, but rather that the answer lies in the continual act of questioning. So now I want to ask you, is your child living a life where they can ultimately say, I made my own decisions? How often do you have silent moments to listen to the voice of your child's soul each day? Does the act you believe to be love truly nurture the freedom of the soul? These are my gifts to you. Don't just leave them on the table. Incorporate them into your life and reflect on them. You are welcome to write your own questions in the comments section, something you're struggling with now, a moment of pause in your past relationships with your child, or even your own answer to, what is education? Sharing that with me and other viewers is already the beginning of a dialogue, and that is precisely the purpose of this channel. My wisdom alone has its limits, yet when your questions come together, they create a timeless space for reflection. Next time, another great mind will speak to you again. When that happens, today's questions will be illuminated from new angles and deepen further. Philosophy is about continual reflection, and a parent should be someone who continually questions. If these words have touched your soul, then today's education has already begun. Until we meet again within your questions.